Greetings, Woolly Weekenders and virtual Woolies. My name is Sarah Roth, also known as Jewel Wing Damsel, and I'm excited to be joining you for the first time as an instructor at Woolly Weekend 2023. I'll be going over the basics of illusion knitting, which, like it sounds, is one of my favorite knitting magic tricks. It results in a fabric that, when viewed straight on, looks like stripes, just plain basic stripes. But when viewed at an angle, a secret image appears. Pretty cool, right? And it's a great technique for knitters of any skill level, including beginners, because all you need to know is how to knit and purl on any type of needle. And you're only working with one color at a time. It is helpful to know how to read a basic knitting chart, but if you've never worked a chart before, no worries. This is a great place to start because, again, you're only working with knits and purls. I'll be demonstrating using the Sheepy Hollow dishcloth pattern, which I designed exclusively for this year's Winter Woolly Retreat. Spoiler alert, the hidden image is a sheep. I'll teach you how to read illusion patterns and charts the way I write them, and I'll point out why they're different from other illusion patterns you'll find out there. And I'll show you how to interpret illusion patterns the way you'll typically encounter them. You might even get ideas of how you'd like to start designing your own illusions. The Sheepy Hollow pattern, like most illusion patterns, uses two colors, one that I'm calling a background color and one that I'm calling the motif color. Quick side note, if you look at other patterns, the colors are likely to be described as a main color, abbreviated MC, and a contrast color, abbreviated CC. But because how you determine which color is the main one might vary, I thought motif and background were a little clearer, and I don't bother with abbreviating them. In the case of Sheepy Hollow, the motif color is the color you want your sheep to be. Probably white, but hey, if you want a neon pink or a psychedelic variegated sheep, you do you. And I would love to see what you come up with. So let's connect on Ravelry and make that happen. If you'd like to knit along while watching this video, now would be a good time to use your background color to cast on 50 stitches and knit 2 rows. Then switch to your motif color, knit 1 row, and purl 1 row. Which brings me to the building blocks of illusion knitting. You will be alternating between 2 rows of your background color, which will be worked in garter stitch by knitting every row, and 2 rows of your motif color, which will be worked in stockinette by knitting on the right side and purling on the wrong side. If you continue in this manner, you will get stripes, of course. But if you lay it down flat, step back, and look at it from an angle, you will start to see mostly just the background color. This is because those garter bumps are higher than the smooth stockinette stitches, which will sort of disappear between the ridges. This is the basic foundation for illusion knitting. The magic happens when we disrupt that foundation pattern by purling some of the wrong side stitches of the background color and knitting some of the wrong side stitches of the motif color. So let's take a look at the first 10 rows of the Sheepy Hollow chart. You can see there are 2 colors, the background color, which I've done here in blue, and the motif color, which is white. The pattern alternates 2 rows of each. Notice that every even numbered or right side row is knit. I'll say that again. Every right side row is knit, regardless of which color you're working with. Every stitch of every right side row is knit. All of the patterning occurs on the wrong side rows. On the background stripes, you can see the hyphen or dot symbol that represents knitting on the wrong side rows, which would look like a purl from the front. The motif stripes are knit on the right side and purled on the wrong side. The first 10 rows and the last 10 rows of the chart are simply this foundation pattern. Now let's look at the next section of the chart. Here's where my patterns differ from every other illusion pattern you'll find out there. My charts have gray squares that show clearly where the foundation pattern is disrupted by reverse stitches. The X's on the motif color rows mean you'll be knitting on the wrong side, and the O's on the background color, meaning you'll be purling on the wrong side. Please note, this does not mean you'll be switching to a gray yarn or any other third color. It just exists to make it easier to see on the chart. Most illusion patterns you find will look something like this. The X's and O's are still there to show the reverse stitches, but it's kind of hard to see because they start to blend in with the dashed stitches. So the gray just makes those disruptor stitches easier to see. I like my way better, and I hope you do too. But if you do fall in love with someone else's pattern, maybe consider just using a highlighter to make those disruptor stitches easier to see. A few more notes about the chart. Knitting charts are typically worked from right to left on right side rows and from left to right on wrong side rows. That's why the row numbers are on the right for right side rows and on the left for wrong side rows. Because all the patterning in illusion knitting happens on wrong side rows, your final piece will be a mirror image of what the chart looks like. If you want your sheet facing the opposite direction, work your wrong side rows from right to left instead. Whichever you do, just be consistent. Doesn't really matter which direction you work the right side rows from because every stitch is knit. For best results in illusion knitting, you'll want a tighter gauge for a stiffer fabric. So I recommend using a needle size smaller than what you usually would use for your yarn. It just makes those garter ridge bumps stick out a bit more and makes the hidden image a little crisper. So to finish up the Sheepy Hollow pattern, continue working the chart, switching colors after every 2 rows. Remember that the right side rows are always knit regardless of color. When you're done, bind off loosely using the background color and weave in your ends. And voila, you now have a new knitting magic trick to add to your repertoire. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you'd like to continue your illusion knitting journey, there are tons of patterns available on Ravelry. Mine are all available as free downloads and use charts similar to what we've gone over today. You can also connect with me by Ravelry if you like. My username is Jewel Wing Damsel. Happy knitting!